You didn't become this version of yourself all at once. It happened slowly, quietly, in ways that felt normal.
You learned which parts of yourself made life easier, which parts were accepted, which parts were rewarded. And without realizing it, you started shaping yourself around that.
You became more agreeable, more controlled, more careful about what you showed. Not because someone forced you to, because it worked.
One early Stoic teaching suggested, what gains approval too easily should be examined carefully. But most people never stop to examine it, because approval feels safe.
So you learn to adjust, to soften certain thoughts, hide certain emotions, silence certain instincts. And over time, those adjustments stop feeling temporary.
They begin to feel like identity. You stop asking, is this who I am? And start assuming, this is just who I've always been.
But every now and then, something breaks through. A moment where you say something honest before you can stop yourself. A reaction that feels more real than the version you usually present.
A quiet sense that something underneath all of this has never fully disappeared.
Most people ignore those moments. They move past them quickly, return to the role, return to what's familiar.
Because familiarity creates stability, even when it isn't real.
And the longer you stay inside that version, the harder it becomes to recognize the difference.
One of the earliest Gnostic ideas suggested, the world teaches people to forget what they already are.
Not through force, through distraction, through repetition, through reward.
And eventually, you stop noticing how much of yourself has been shaped by it.
You become practiced, refined, predictable.
But something inside you keeps resisting quietly. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough to make certain moments feel strange.
Moments where everything appears normal, but something feels absent, because part of you recognizes the performance, even if the rest of you doesn't.
And that's where the shift begins. Not by destroying the version of yourself you built, not by rejecting your life, just by noticing.
Noticing how often you adjust automatically, how quickly you shape yourself around the room you're in, how often your reactions are based on approval instead of truth.
And once you begin seeing that, you can't fully stop seeing it. You notice the mask before it settles into place.
You notice the hesitation before you silence yourself. You notice the performance while it's happening.
And slowly, something else begins to emerge. Not something new, something older.
Something that existed before all the adjustment, before the conditioning, before the version of yourself that learned how to survive by becoming easier to accept.
And that part doesn't need approval. It doesn't need to perform. It doesn't need to become anything.
It just exists, quietly, waiting for you to stop shaping yourself long enough to finally recognize it.